Portaging canoe is a pretty straightforward process. First, make sure you've got good footing, and then instead of using your back, you want to be using your leg muscles, just like lifting any heavy object. Make a table out of your thighs, bring the canoe right up, reach for the far gunnel, and then one smooth movement, turn and bring it up on your shoulders. Wow, nice. It's real nice when you work for it. Well, we all have tight schedules. Some a little tighter than others. Some a little too tight. But no matter how tight your schedule is this week, you'll want to squeeze in the caving show on Trailside. Do your memories of the outdoors ever match the pictures you bring home? Do you ever hear yourself saying, "This shot really doesn't do it justice"? If that sounds familiar, keep watching. Hi, I'm John Veman in Minnesota's Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. Today on Trailside, we're going to show you how to make outdoor photographs that will do it justice. These are photographs Richard Hamilton Smith took of the Boundary Waters. He's one of the country's top outdoor photographers. And the way he gets photos like this is with a canoe. And where we're going, that's the only way you get there, because it's a canoe-only wilderness.
John, boats are in the water. Here's the map.
Okay.
Looks great.
Yeah, now this green, this is the Boundary Waters, and this is Canada over here in yellow.
It sure is, and we'll be going right down the international border, past some great falls, downriver through some neat slicks and rapids. Past Nice Lake, wonderful islands for sunrise photography. I know how much you love to get up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
North up Marabou, past Horsetail Rapids, and into Big Sag and the Big Water.
And these are all the designated campsites in the Boundary Waters, right? These little dots.
They sure are. But say, we're losing our morning light. I think we should get going.
Okay, let's get the packs and head out.
When's the last time you were up this way, John?
No, it's been a few years.
Hey, we got a great route. You saw from the map there.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
perfect.
Looked nice. Hey, show me what's in your bag anyway. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of
this pile of stuff?
Yeah, what kind of camera equipment you're packing with you.
It's a nice little rig for up here in the Boundary Waters. This is my 300 for shooting wildlife. I've got a strobe unit. Second body with a 20mm wide-angle lens for doing extreme landscapes.
Sure.
An 80 to 200 zoom. Another body, 35 to 70 short zoom. Light meter, spare batteries, filters, and a pocket on the other side here. I got 20 rolls of film.
No kidding. You sure that's enough?
Well, with the other 60 in my pack, it should be just great.
Jeez.
What have you got? Let's see what you've got.
Well, I don't have quite the artillery you do. I'm traveling light, but I do have lots of film. 4 rolls in here.
Oh, that ought to hold you until we get to the other side of the lake anyway. What else have you got?
Let's see. I've got 35 to 70 zoom here.
That's great for landscape.
Yeah, 70 to 210 zoom here, and I've just got one camera body with me.
I hope we see a moose. Good, serious amateur outfit.
Yeah.
How about we hit the pond?
Yeah, I like it. It's been a while since I've been up here. I can't wait to see it. It's nice of the weather to give us a break too, huh?
Perfect. Got a nice downwind paddle to start out with. Just great. Beautiful sun diamonds on the water.
When was the last time you were up here, Richard?
I was up here last September, right at the peak of fall colors. It was spectacular. These tailwinds bothering you?
Well, now that you mention it, my stern is feeling like it's getting pushed around a little bit. What's the trim look like on this canoe?
Yeah, you're looking a little bow heavy.
All right, well, let me pull some weight back here and see if that doesn't bring the stern down a little bit. How's that look?
Now that looks much better, much better.
Boy, it must be nice having an adjustable seat. You can kind of move your body weight forward or backward and get your trim just the way you want it.
It's a piece of cake, man.
Yeah.
Sure easy. I'm gonna check out some lichens and rocks here and shoot some pictures.
You're on your own, Richard. These solo canoes really do give you a lot of independence. They're not that much different from paddling a tandem. Probably the only big difference is that it's a little trickier keeping yourself in a straight line. Now you can do what comes instinctively, which is basically sit there and switch paddle sides every other stroke. That can be a bit frustrating. What I'd much prefer to see you doing is a reversible C stroke. Now that's pretty much what it looks like. If you can imagine yourself drawing a backward C on the water, you got the hang of this stroke. I'm exaggerating a little bit here just to show you what it looks like, but once you get the hang of it, it's a very subtle movement. Sounds like a little bit of a waterfall up ahead.
Yeah, this is Little Rock Falls. It's a beautiful spot.
If I remember correctly, the portage is over here on the right, isn't it?
Sure is. I think we should make some pictures here.
In this light?
Wonderful light for this scene. The soft lighting is great.
Boy, you know, I usually keep my camera tucked away in this kind of stuff. You're gonna have to show me a few of your tricks.
Sure will. Let's make the portage first though, shall we?
Okay.
Beautiful sound, that waterfalls.
I've seen this before. I've always had trouble with it too.
Awful lot of white in the background there. You might want to overexpose your pictures just a little bit, John.
Yeah, I know. Last time I shot something like this, the film came back, it was way underexposed, so I'm gonna do a lot of bracketing, you know, overexpose, underexpose, shoot up a lot of film here.
That's why we brought so much film.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the log in the water.
Looks wonderful. This will be a great shot. What do you do about shutter speed and something like that?
You might want to try some different shutter speeds. A fast shutter speed will freeze those little drops of water in the air. A slow shutter speed will give it a soft, silky, blurry look. It's a nice effect. I think I'll go towards the top of the fall.
Okay.
Well, this little tree's a perfect picture. Trying to put something like this in the foreground is a real good idea. As long as I don't dump into the water here. Beautiful shot. Frames up the waterfalls. Gives a good sense of depth of field. I'm going to take a look at the very top. Try a nice wide angle lens shot up here. Woo! Oh, this is great. This is happening. Love it.
That's nice. We haven't seen anybody all day.
I loved having the falls to ourselves.
Yeah. You know, I think this fact that this is a designated wilderness area, you know, and it reduces the group size, you know, this is going to be this way 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now.
It's been like this for 24 years since the wilderness legislation went through.
Yeah.
Why don't we take your gear over first, then we'll come back and take mine.
Okay, I like that. You carrying my gear?
Nice landing, isn't it?
Yeah. How long is this portage anyway?
I think it's about 80 rods. That's about a quarter of a mile.
Well, that's not too far.
Here, I'll help you with the pack.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you get that on.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. I'm set. Load me up with the other one, would you?
Okay. Make like a pack mule.
Oh man, 80 rods. I hope the bugs are okay.
Bugs? There's no bugs out
See you
here.
on the other side.
Portaging canoe is a pretty straightforward process. First, make sure you've got good footing. And then instead of using your back, you want to be using your leg muscles, just like lifting any heavy object. Make a table out of your thighs. Bring the canoe right up. Reach for the far gunnel. And then one smooth movement, turn and bring it up on your shoulders. These canoes are made of space-age materials, but the Native Americans that originally traveled these waters made theirs out of birch bark. And in Big Fork, Minnesota, there's someone still making them that way. This is Ray Bosell, one of the few remaining birch bark canoe builders in this country. What are you working on?
I'm making ribs for the canoe, and this is actually about the last step of building the canoes, getting the ribs ready. And if you'd like to come inside, I can show you how we get it all to this point.
Let's go.
This is the cedar you saw outside that we're making into the ribs. And we just split it with a knife, butcher knife like this here.
Now, does that have to be freshly cut or still green in order for you to split it?
It's best if it's fresh cut, so it's got the sap in it. And you control the split as it goes down by how you bend the wood. That's why we split all the ribs and lining for the canoe.
Now, this is the bark that you've gone out and gotten off the trees, right? And
Right?
now, the outer bark is actually going to be on the inside of the canoe, and the inner bark is going to be the outer surface of the canoe. Why is that?
If you look on the canoe over here, the yellow is outside because it will soak water in, and that's what makes the canoe strong. But the white is on the inside because it's waterproof. It doesn't let the water all the way through.
Okay. Now, your forms here, this is what they used to stake into the ground, really.
Right. The Native North American Indians, they'd build them right on the ground on a building bed. They drive stakes in the ground. They put the birch bark inside of it, and then they just bend it up and start sewing it together.
So you've got the sewn together birch bark here, and here's your lashing right here. It looks like a tree root of some kind, right?
Right. That's all black spruce roots, all along the sides and on the tops. It's all sewn together with roots.
And then you put in some planking to protect the bark a little bit?
Right. This here's the planking or the lining, and that goes in lengthways, and the ribs go from side to side. And I've got some in the steamer back here. If you like, we put some in.
Great. Let's go.
These are the cedar ribs that we soaked overnight now. We just put them in the steamer here to get them hot so we can bend them around the pipe to get the initial bend on them. You'll have to run these down the canoe fairly quick so that they don't cool off too much.
Okay. Now, before they had steamers, how did they get them to bend like that?
Originally, they would just soak them in hot water. They'd get them soft enough to bend.
Okay.
You want to take that side?
Sure.
We'll push her down in there.
Oh, it really forms right to the shape, doesn't it?
Yeah. You got to mark them a little bit long, about halfway up the gunwale, because there's no nails or glue that hold the rib in place, so they have to fit in tight.
Now, how many of those do you put in each canoe?
There's about 35 ribs in a 16-foot canoe like this. But you have to cut the ends off here for the length, and then to shape the sides and wedge the ends. The wedge on the end is what fits underneath the gunwales.
Now, this is what gives the whole boat its structural integrity, right?
Right. Without the ribs, it wouldn't have the shape that it does. It would just be like a bag or something. So you need the ribs in there to give it the shape and to hold the shape. If you want, we got one outside. It's all finished. We can go out and take a look at it.
Great. Maybe we can do some paddling.
Sure. Now, John, this is a seal we use to seal the canoes up so they don't leak.
It almost looks like tar.
Originally, that's what they used, was pine tar mixed with bear grease and charcoal. But because of constant maintenance on it, we started using this stuff about 20 years ago or so.
Really?
It's permanent pitch, polyurethane.
Now these ends here look a little higher than the Chippewa design inside the boathouse. What's the reason for that?
Right, the reason for the high ends on the fur trade canoes is for breaking the waves on the Great Lakes.
Oh.
And then for sleeping under at night, it gave them more headroom. But the Indians all had different style ends on their canoes because they didn't have paint to paint them. The fur traders would paint the ends with their company emblems.
So it's not just an aesthetic thing, this is a functional thing too, to make the ends this high.
Right. But the Indians are the ones that taught the French and English how to make the canoes in the beginning.
Yeah, they taught them a lot, didn't they?
Yeah. Without the bark canoe, there'd have been no fur trade, so. You want to take the front and we'll shove off.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready to go. Oh, it's smooth.
Yeah. They're a little tippier, but they handle nice in the water. They're quiet.
This looks like Neese Lake.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite lakes in the Boundary Waters.
Really? With 10,000 lakes around here to choose from? Why that? Why is this
Oh
one?
man, these islands in the morning mist, they're like clipper ships in a fog.
Oh, I can't wait to see something like that.
See, I think we should make camp.
Well, it's pretty early, but yeah, you're probably right. You know, there's only 2 designated campsites out here, so it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I like to get in, pitch a tent, have a little food, go out for an evening photographic paddle. And you know, I always come back in the dark.
That's true, and I hate cooking in the dark.
I think it's up around the corner here.
Okay. This is a designated campsite in the Boundary Waters. You can identify one by the fixed fire grate and the box latrine up in the woods.
Here's some more firewood and some birch bark too.
Thanks. Hey, what took you so long?
Oh, I like going back into the woods for my firewood. I hate campers who strip a campsite of its dead vegetation. I think it's bad ethics.
I agree.
Say, do you have the fry pan?
No, but if you could get it, that would be good.
Oh, that walleye will be good.
Yeah. The Boundary Waters is one of the few wilderness areas where you can still build a cooking fire. It's a little less efficient than a camp stove, but it does add a little bit of tradition to camping. Just in case, though, we've got a pack stove in our pack for a rainy day or if we need something hot to drink in a hurry.
Here's the fry pan and the butter. I'll fillet the fish.
Good, thanks. By the way, if you can find it, birch bark from a dead tree mixed with pine needles makes a good fire starter.
Oh, perfect time of day. I love this sweet light time of day.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I really enjoyed that stuff at the waterfall this morning, you know, but I didn't get a chance to see what you were doing. Can you mind if I just tag along, you explain what you're doing this time?
I love talking about photography, sure.
Okay.
Nice dramatic sunset.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple things I think about when I'm making pictures.
Okay.
One, you gotta have light to make a shot outdoors.
Makes sense.
So I think about how that light interacts with my environment.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the sunset, we call it backlighting.
Right.
Now if it's the lights over our shoulder and lighting the background, we call it front lighting.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, like right after a rain that just got us here, you get a really dramatic rainbow.
Yep. Now what would you do if you did get a rainbow? Would you put a filter on? What would you do?
Yeah, I probably would, because a polarizing filter really makes a rainbow pop.
Okay.
And the other kind of lighting is side lighting, and this is a really good spot to show you that. The side lighting would rake along the texture of these lichens and really brings up that texture.
Yeah.
And especially nice now because they're all wet from the rain. So I'm thinking about light, and I'm thinking about shapes, forms, patterns. For instance, look over here.
Okay.
Now what I try to do when I'm making pictures is to really forget about what it is that I'm photographing and look at it in terms of what shape or form it is.
This almost looks like a bonsai tree under here, huh?
Yeah. For instance, this S-curve right here is a really dramatic compositional tool to use when making pictures. So I'd make a shot of that. And then while I was here, I'd probably lie down and, look at this up here.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And it's a really nice pattern of branches, and it's echoed by the pattern of the needles.
Now, what kind of lens would you use to shoot something like this?
Well, I'd probably shoot this with a real wide-angle lens so I can get as much of that pattern as possible.
Yeah, I see. That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
see how it really echoes everything. Let's go back out to the point.
Okay.
I just want to check my sunset here and see what's happening. I'll bet it's just about ready to go down below the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it just about is.
It's doing some nice things, though, isn't it?
Most of the time when I'm making shots at this time of day, I just get like wild and crazy with the energy of the light. You know, and a lot of times I just forget to sit down and enjoy the moment. You know, maybe we should just do that this time.
Hey, I'm always
We're going to
up
get
for
a
that.
great sunrise tomorrow. I can feel it in my bones.
But you know, I'm kind of feeling like I ought to bring the camera out for this, just in case.
That's cheating, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Oh, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too then.
I won't forget. This tree looks pretty interesting right up here.
Yeah, the sun's just about gone. You know, most people, as soon as the sun would go behind that cloud, they'd say, well, that's it, let's just go home. You know, let's go back to the campsite. But I'll bet if we wait here maybe 20, 25 minutes, you know, the light will just paint all the bottom of these clouds with some beautiful colors.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth the wait.
Things sure look different in this early morning light.
That was some trip over in the mist. So this is where that picture is you were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I like your choice. This island's been real good to me in the past. You know, I'm feeling kind of bad about getting you up early in the morning, so I think I'm just going to let you take pictures. I'll leave my camera in the boat. You show me what you've got here.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
Great.
It's right over here.
Oh, I can see the picture already in my head.
Oh, come on, Richard. There's got to be a few surprises left for you. And
Let me guess. You've got trees in the foreground, island in the background.
oh, you're reading my mind here. Look at that.
Say, are you focused just right out on the island?
Yeah.
You're at your widest aperture. You know, these trees are going to be a little bit out of focus in your foreground here.
All right, well, let me stop it down to about 22.
Yeah, that'll give you a lot better depth of field.
Yeah.
But that's going to give you a real slow shutter speed, so let's put your camera on my tripod.
Okay.
You don't want to hand hold at that slow shutter speed. You'll end up with blurry pictures.
All right. And this early in the morning, that's definitely going to be a challenge to keep it steady.
I'm really pleased you saw this shot yesterday.
Well, Richard, some of what you've taught me is rubbing off.
Oh, you're coming along.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. You know, I saw something just as we were leaving the canoes over there, and it's kind of an interesting shot. We should go take a look at it.
All right. What do you do about shutter speed in this kind of light?
That's a good question. Sometimes this kind of situation can really bedevil camera meters. So usually what you want to do is overexpose your pictures, maybe one stop to a stop and a half.
Okay.
Say, will you grab that 20 off of that camera body for me?
Sure.
And I'm going to drop my tripod here and take your short zoom off.
All right. Oh, I think I see your shot now.
Is that right? What do you think is in my shot?
Well, let's see. I think you're going to probably bring these canoes in, right?
Right
into the
John, you're way
foreground?
ahead of me. Yeah, if you could pull that canoe in just a little bit for me, John.
Okay.
I'll frame this up. Nice wide angle, a little closer.
Okay.
Now this is a 20. It's an extreme wide angle lens. It really exaggerates objects in the foreground. Here, take a look.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Now see how we've added some leading lines that take us out into the shot. It has boundary waters in the background, but it says Boundary Waters Canoe Wilderness.
It really does.
The other thing it does for me is I always love pictures that have just a few elements working in them. Less is more. I think this is a better statement. It's a little bit cleaner picture than the shot we made on the other side, don't you think?
Uh-huh. Oh, I like it.
Sometimes, John, you have to make your own shot.
Hey, I want to get a few pictures of you running this rapid. Do you have any pointers for me?
Try a fast shutter speed if you want to freeze the action. Better yet, try a real slow shutter speed.
Yep.
And pan with me as I go by you. That'll blur the background. It's a great effect.
Well, that's a good idea. I've never thought of that.
It looks like a pretty clean line. The only trouble appears to be that big boulder over there. These two rocks would be a great shooting spot. I'm gonna get in my canoe.
Okay. Running whitewater should not be a casual decision. And in a wilderness area, it's critical. A few things to keep in mind when running any rapid. First, get out and scout it. Even a rapid you're familiar with may have a tree across it, or the water level may have risen, which could dramatically affect the nature of the rapid. Second, consider your experience and skill level. Both Richard and I have run this rapid before, and others much more difficult. Third, location. We're in a wilderness area, and it's a long way from help and a long walk out. And finally, because we've decided to run this rapid, we've carried our gear around to lighten our boats and to keep them dry just in case. Now let's make some pictures. Hey, Richard! Photography really does add another dimension to any outdoor experience, especially in a place like this. Remember, shoot a lot of film and experiment. See you next time on Trailside.
Hey, John.
Oh, got me.
Let me guess, you've got trees in the foreground, island in the background.
Oh, you're reading my mind here. Look at that.
Oh, this is great. This is happening. Love it. Yeah, the sun's just about gone. You know, most people, as soon as the sun would go behind that cloud, they'd say, well, that's it. Let's just go home.
Funding for Trailside is made possible in part by Chevy Trucks, who reminds you that it's possible to have fun outdoors and still leave Mother Nature with a smile on her face, too. And LL Bean, providing sporting gear and apparel for people who love the outdoors for over 80 years. And High Tech Sports, who invite you to enjoy the great outdoors and follow the trail to adventure.
Guys, we're about ready to come in and block this thing out and do it.
Wouldn't mind doing one more.
You wouldn't mind doing another one? Do the wild sound right now. Do this wild track right here and
Rolling.
You want me to be walking?
52, take 2.
All speed. B. Quiet, please. And action. Hey, John.
Oh, got me.
Great run.
I think we nailed it. This show was like coming home again for me, and traveling with my old canoeing friend Richard Smith took me back at least 10 years in time. And we both agreed that we hadn't aged a day since our last trip up there. Richard and I had worked together on magazine assignments from Nova Scotia and Maine to the Colorado River's Grand Canyon. Even with all the traveling I've done and will do on Trailside, I don't think I'll ever see a place that compares to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. The water, the granite, the woods, the loons, the moose, the walleye, the clouds. It's a unique combination of elements that you can only experience to appreciate. Portaging canoe is a pretty straightforward procedure. First, you want to make when you're in the Boundary Waters, you learn to like the portages, or the times when you have to get out of your boat and carry everything overland for a period of time. I've traveled with a lot of people who let out long moans whenever we come upon another one, and I call them on it quickly. Not only is this sort of negative approach unhealthy over a long trip, but portages really should be recognized for what they are. They're pathways to untrammeled wilderness. The longer and tougher that portage, the more you can be assured that you'll encounter fewer people at the other end. And getting away to a beautiful place teeming with wildlife that you can pretty well count on having all to yourself is what you've gone out there for after all in the first place. So I look forward to portages, and so do the people that go with me. I still remember one of my first canoe trips up here. We'd completed the Granite River section and opted to paddle across Lake Saginaw and head into Canada's Quetico Provincial Park. I wasn't traveling with Richard then, so I get all the blame for this one. What you notice quickly about the difference between the way the two parks are managed is that, for one thing, the portages are clearly marked on the United States side, while rarely do you see markers in Quetico. You have to rely on your sense of where the portage trails are instead. And back then, I didn't have a whole lot of sense, and sure enough, before long I was standing with a canoe on my head and knee-deep in a swamp a mile or two down some old moose trail, having circled at least a dozen times in a vain attempt to relocate myself. Eventually, well, actually more like 6 hours later, we found our way back to the real trail and went on to have a fantastic trip. I say fantastic because it only got more comical. We were lost, hit bad weather, were driven crazy by lots of little things going wrong. It should be one that I'd tuck away and never want to relive again. Yet I've learned something about dealing with misfortune and foul weather in the outdoors. These are the things that make for great stories for years to come. Remember that the next time you're wet, cold, and windbound on a remote island in the wilderness. I hope it lifts your spirits the way it does mine.
Wow.
Nice. It's real nice when you work for it. You know, most backpacking tarps today come with plenty of tie-downs, but a lot of times they're not located where you need them, or they might even pull off completely in the field, so you have to jerry-rig something. The easiest way to do that is just take a little stone like this, place it where you need the tie-down or the anchor, and just twist it off like that. Take your rope, go around a couple times, and there you have it. Real secure. The secret to eating well while family camping is planning ahead, keeping it simple, and somewhat predictable. Everything on your menu should be tried out at home before you head out. And that goes for your stove, too. Keep in mind that after a full day outdoors, even bland food is going to be gobbled up. And since everyone's burning plenty of calories, they're probably going to have more than their normal serving size. Cliff, I must have forgotten something, right?
Well, John, we like to get dinner started early so we can finish up and get the chores done.
That's it.
You know, before it gets too dark. We also like to keep in mind that the kids are losing lots of water on a hot day like today,
yeah.
so we keep a lot of this juice mix around.
Well, that's a neat idea. You put orange juice mix in there, and Yeah, it gets it nice and sweet.
That's what the kids need.
Yeah. Well, what about meal planning, Claudia? How do you get them involved in that?
The kids do help with the meal planning, John. In fact, they help me make this trail mix.
Oh.
And then we go to the supermarket and pick out the foods we like. A lot of this can be bought at the regular supermarket, like the macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Yeah.
Parmesan cheese. The soup mixes, the kids pick the flavors they like.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have the sun-dried foods, like these tomatoes and freeze-dried foods. And this is air-dried. This is a one-pot dish that we like. Has rice.
No, everything you need is in that bag right there for a meal. You just have to rehydrate it for a while in water.
Exactly.
And then just heat it up. And it's ready to eat. Enough for what, 2 people in there?
This is enough for 2 people. Do a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of pasta, a lot of rice.
Well, what kind of storage system is that?
I utilize 3 bags, 2 of which are garbage bags inside of an outer shell. And then I just spin the bag, grab it from the neck, spin it like that, tuck the neck over. And then you get the air out of the outer bag like that, roll it over, and you've got a real good system for keeping your gear dry.
Well, go ahead and put the paddle behind you.
All right.
And put your weight back on the paddle and kind of crab walk in.
Okay.
We can do a bit of a surf launch today, even though the waves aren't real high.
Okay.
So, with your spray skirts on, what you'll do is you'll wait until a big wave comes up underneath your boat.
Right.
And then you'll propel yourself out with your hands.
Right.
And then paddle out and kind of power through the waves. And we'll meet you out there.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Alaska is a remote area. Where we are, it's 100 miles to the nearest village, and that's on the other side of a mountain range with no roads in or out. So with that in mind, we brought in a few extra items. First thing is fire starter. Fire starter will help you get a fire going quickly, say if you have to signal someone, or if you need to dry out, or if your camp stove just quits. And where we are, if something breaks, we can't go home. So we've got a repair kit that'll fix everything from a broken pack strap to a delaminated boot sole. First aid kit, we've got the standard items, but we've also added the chemical heat pack. Hypothermia, or exposure, can occur at any time when you realize that it can rain for up to 4 weeks here and get cold extremely fast. The heat pack will last up to 7 hours. Iodine. While this area is known for its pristine wilderness, there's enough wildlife to where most water sources carry giardia or bacteria, just like everywhere else. A signal mirror and an aerial flare. Since we're almost totally dependent on a bush pilot to get us in and out, a lot can go wrong. Say if you injure yourself, you might miss your rendezvous with the pilot. So to use a signal mirror, you want to line it up by holding your palm between the object you're trying to signal and the light source. And when you get the reflection on the bottom of the palm of your hand, you just pull your palm of your hand away. Now if you want to vary the signal, you can just put your hand in front of it like that. Since it's overcast 7 out of 10 days up here, that's why we have the aerial flares. No roller coasters, no ice cream cones, no video games out here. Yet you know, there isn't an amusement park around that can top nature when it comes to kids. This week on Trailside, we're going to show you how to go family camping.